everybody. Welcome back to Modern Era Fitness for another fantastic episode. I'm Caleb. With me, as usual, we've got
Mike Walsh.
Mike Walsh. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
That's all we got for you. Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Peace.
No, we're talking about what fitness activity / what martial arts is.
Don't read it off of that.
Oh, okay.
Like paraphrase it so it makes a little more sense.
Sorry,
to the
we'll
listener.
start learning.
So I was thinking the topic for today we could talk about, I get the question a lot that says, oh, which martial art is the best? I feel like this martial art seems to be winning all the UFC fights, so that's really the best martial art. What martial art do you teach? Oh, that's not the best. Sorry,
I'm
like unloading.
That. I love it.
So anyway, the question is, what martial art is the best? And I was thinking we could do the same thing because I imagine there are a lot of people out there that ask the same thing about exercise styles or
yes.
methods. So
best
yoga,
diets,
Pilates,
best nutrition,
diet,
best
all that stuff. So where do we begin? Where would you
I
like
want to know.
begin?
Well, I want to answer the question. So if I'm a martial,
You mean ask the question?
yeah, I'm going to ask you the question as somebody who just watched all the Bruce Lee movies, just binged watched them.
Okay.
And I go on Google and I find your Hood's Martial Arts Academy, and I come in, shameless plug. And so I come in and I say, "Hey, I want to learn, but I want to learn the best martial arts. Which one's the best?"
Well, you've come to the right place.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know if you said it already, but it totally is a loaded question. There's so much that goes into it, and it really depends on the reason you are training. Like, are you going for self-defense? Are you going for fitness? Are you going for discipline? Most martial arts have a lot of those things built in. It doesn't really matter the style. There are some that are a little bit better geared towards self-defense than tournament. But they all have their place, I think.
Right. Like,
does that make sense?
Absolutely. Each martial art, it has its own
because of
thing.
where they come from. They're geared for a special type of defense. So you might have one art that comes from a particular region of a particular country that's really well suited for short range self-defense because everybody there, for whatever reason, maybe they have really skinny legs in that region, genetically or something. I don't know. Was that offensive or is that okay? I
think that's fine.
Okay. I think some people just genetically are different than other people, right?
You mean people aren't the same across the board?
No, we're not all twins, I guess. Whereas other regions, maybe they don't use roads. Maybe they're hikers.
Right.
More is more
mountainous.
Method. Yeah. So they have really strong legs, and so their martial art revolves around that, and so they kick more and have longer range and that kind of stuff. So really, in my opinion, every martial art has something to offer. It's very rare that you find a martial art that doesn't have some sort of useful application.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Cool. Well, there's also cultures that, or martial cultures, where everybody carries a knife.
Yep.
If you get into a fight, you can expect that person to have a knife on them.
Yeah, and so your training would look a lot different than somebody who, comes from
a high school wrestling background.
Yeah, or a boxing background. You kind of train for where you are.
So why is the question a loaded question? Can you explain it to me like in 2 sentences?
So like I said, you first have to decide why are you training. What's your motive? What is your motive?
So my motive, I just want to be able to be the best martial artist on my block. I want to be able to kick anybody's ass.
I would not teach you. A lot of people would not teach you. You would have to go to Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah.
Because most instructors, if they're worth their weight in flesh, won't teach somebody that just wants to beat people up.
Right.
That's how I feel.
I like that.
But back to the self-defense side, because that's kind of mostly what we deal with in our system. There are some arts better geared for that than others, just because some arts are more interested in the tradition and making sure that things stay the same
Uh-huh.
to show respect to the roots. And I love that. I personally think that's fantastic. But the times change and weapons change and the mentality of the public changes. So some of the more rigid traditional arts tend to not have the best firearm defenses. But some of the newer systems that have been developed since those times are better suited, like Krav Maga. You know, that's kind of a hot ticket right now. And it's true, they have fantastic gun disarms because that's what they do. It's an Israeli military self-defense system, and they're dealing with arms all the time, firearms all the time.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to be good at it. That's what they drill for.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas, you know, if you're in let's say, the Philippines or something, you're going to have something more oriented to blade and stick because firearms aren't as accessible there.
Right. What's it called when a martial art or a martial system, is that what you'd say it is?
I usually say system because there are so many that are mixes of martial arts.
And that's what I was getting to. What's it called when that happens? When a martial system just incorporates everything else and uses what works and discards what doesn't?
I consider that an open martial art or an evolutionary martial art.
Wasn't that what Bruce Lee did?
Exactly.
He made his own.
Yeah, Jeet Kune Do. That's a very big concept: is throw away what doesn't work, keep what does.
Yeah.
And the art that we practice here at Hoods MMA is the same, kind of the same mentality. It was never meant to be this stagnant,
right,
traditional, same self-defense tricks forever. It's meant. Cjo Imperato, the guy that is credited with forming the system, he was very adamant about making sure that people know, okay, this art, if it's going to survive and be useful for any amount of time, it's got to be able to change.
Right.
You have to adapt to the time and the location.
Yeah, evolve.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
So you told me, and this might be a little in depth for most people, but I find it very interesting. So it's called Kajukenbo,
mm-hmm.
and you said there's different branches within Kajukenbo?
Yeah, so Kajukenbo, first, that word is a portmanteau, which means each like pairing of the letters in the word Kajukenbo.
Oh, okay, make a new word.
Yeah. So Ka stands for karate, Ju stands for judo and jujitsu, Ken stands for Kempo, and Bo stands for boxing, which represents the Chinese boxing, which is another word for Kung Fu,
okay,
and American boxing as well. And Cjo mixed in some stick work in there too, some Filipino stick work.
What does Cjo mean?
Cjo means founder of the system or creator of the system.
Okay.
You can't get any higher than that.
Yeah, the guy that made it.
Yeah. Essentially, God. That's like, you can't, that's the Trump card. Ooh, I shouldn't. Trump just has...
It has a bad ring to it.
Anyway,
yeah. So, Kajukenbo.
Yeah, and so there are 4 recognized branches. Some people practice some offshoots, and there's debate on whether or not they're actually recognized or not. But when Cjo was around, there were 4 recognized branches that he gave his blessing to, and the branch that we practice is called Tumpai. The Tumpai represents the influence of Tai Chi into our art. So we've got kind of this hard street mentality, but we also blend in the relaxation and the body movement and yielding as opposed to direct opposition.
Is that what Tai Chi is about?
Yeah, very much so. About doing things smoothly with the least amount of energy necessary, really good on structure, balance, that kind of thing. So that's our branch. There's another branch called One Hop Kwendo, and then there's another branch called Chuan Fa, and those ones are a little bit more kung fu-y. If I can make up a word.
I don't know what that means, kung fu-y. So how would that differentiate from your Tumpai?
So ours has an obvious influence of Tai Chi, so you can kind of see that throughout. Theirs is a little more Shaolin looking, like animal style kind of stuff.
So could I say that the Tumpai version is a little more, like it looks more flowy and kind of...
Yeah, and that's not to say that theirs doesn't look flowy. Really, if you don't know the differences, you may not know that there's a difference.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? But
Yeah.
if you're in the art, you can spot
Right.
the difference easily.
We'll put that in the show notes. We'll put some links to what did you say it was? Shaolin?
One Hop Kwendo, Tumpai,
Mm-hmm.
Chuan Fa, and then there's the original method or the Imperado's method, which was the very beginning of it all. Everything else branched off from that, and it's a very, very hard style.
Right. If I remember correctly, because you taught me some of this, it's just hard, fast,
Yeah,
kind of balls to the wall.
yeah. And all the other branches kind of follow that mentality as well, with their own kind of little changes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of points back to the topic of the evolution of the art, kind of always made to change.
So it sounds like to me that when somebody's looking for the best martial art, I think that your style of martial art says a lot about itself when you can say we have evolved.
Or we're willing.
We're willing to evolve, and we're
Yeah.
continually evolving.
Yeah, and that's my opinion on the self-defense arts. But there are other reasons for training. Like I said, there's fitness and competition. Maybe you just love doing sports
Right.
and competing,
Being active.
and so you might pick a different art, because while we do have people competing in tournaments and everything, our art isn't specifically geared toward that. It's more towards the self-defense and the street realism. But other art can be effective self-defense, but they're more geared towards, it's like the inverse of us.
Right.
Like they're geared towards competition
Right.
with still some street application to them.
Yeah.
If you can use them right.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. So let's turn it back to you. People just want to know, man.
Well, what's the best?
Yeah, what's the best? So should I do weights? Should I only work on cardio? Should I do CrossFit? Should I do yoga? Should I do Pilates?
So let's role play.
Ooh.
You're going to be
Okay.
let's see, you just watched Arnold Schwarzenegger's Pumping Iron. No.
No.
So something more generic.
Yeah. What's the Stallone one where he turns the hat backwards when he arm wrestles?
Oh, Over the Top.
Over the Top.
Yes.
Okay, I just watched Over the Top, and I want meaty arms.
Uh-huh.
I come in.
And you come and you go, hey, what's the best?
How do I get like Stallone?
Oh.
Give me Stallone.
So you just gave me a very clear, definite picture of where you
What
want,
I want,
what you
my goal.
want. And I go, well, to get that, we're going to do this.
Okay.
So if you came in and you said, yeah, what's the best physical activity I can do? Or what'll get me in shape the best, the most, the quickest?
Right.
I'll come right back at you and say,
So-
what do you, why?
What? Okay, I just finished watching Rat Race. Okay,
Rat Race.
and I'm really impressed by Mr. Bean's physique and how
Oh.
well he goes through the rat race. Get me like Mr. Bean.
I'd say, congratulations, you've made it.
He just looked me up and down when he said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Get me like Rowan Atkinson. Is that his name? Atkinson?
I don't know who
think that's
that
his name.
is.
That's Mr. Bean.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're not a true fan.
Yeah. Yeah. So, honestly, it really depends on what the goal is. If somebody comes in and they say, I want to just really get in shape, I'll say, why? And I'll kind of dig. Yeah. Why do you
What
want to get in
for?
shape? What for? But honestly, there has to be a goal and there has to be a reason, and you have to know that reason. So if somebody comes in, and this happens all the time when somebody starts out, when somebody says, I want to get in shape, I'll say, why? Like, oh, I don't feel good. Like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Why don't you feel good? Well, oh, my belly gets in the way when I tie my shoes, and I can't tie my shoes. Oh, okay, so we want to lose body fat, and that's a very specific goal, or that's a very specific result that we want. So then we create a goal and have it time specific and measurable and all, things like that.
Why time Pacific?
Time specific.
Yeah.
So adding a time constraint adds a sense of urgency because time's ticking now and you're on the clock now for getting that goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of a motivator.
Right. So what you can also do is add an event to that. So
Like a Facebook?
or like training for
Like
your
black belt or a marathon.
Fireman certification to become a fireman.
You went that
Firefighter.
route. Okay.
Yeah. So let's say you're training to be a firefighter and you come in, you go, I want to train to be a firefighter. My test is on this date. I have until that date to get as strong and as in shape as I can.
Mm.
That's a really specific goal with really measurable results. Either you pass or fail,
And you got your deadline.
and you got your
event.
deadline, and it's really coming down to the wire.
That's good.
Yeah. So that kind of blows a huge hole in the argument of, what fitness activity is best. It's like, well, what do you want to do? If you want to do this, it's going to be that. If you want to do this, it's going to be that. And they're
Yeah.
not going to be the same.
Yeah. That's kind of the same.
It's the same line. It's all about what you want to do.
Yeah.
I answered that question really fast. Now I have nothing else to talk about.
Like if we run it down the line, what is weight training? What is lifting good for?
Everything. So you can weight
Wait,
train.
you just said.
Well, okay.
So
So
weightlifting is the best. That's
the best.
answer.
And here's my reason. And here's where you can buy it. So weight training, you can kind of gear towards each system in the body, whether you want to get stronger or add power or gain
What's the difference?
stronger / power.
Uh-huh.
So strength versus power is a one-time mover.
Oh, you want to do a max 1 rep max kind of a thing.
Right. So yeah, if you get stranded on the side of not on the side of the road, if your
kid is under the car,
if your
you
kid
wanna
is
be
under
able
the
to
car,
deadlift.
you have enough power to lift up that car.
okay,
That's power.
I'll say.
Yeah.
Can you
Unless it's the Smart for 2 or something. I hear those are pretty heavy.
can
I always
Can
want to
you get
tip
me
one
there?
of those over. Can I get you there?
yeah? Can you get me to lift a car?
That depends.
You can be honest.
Can we use cybernetics?
Yes.
Wait, was that the right term?
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean.
Like
Like
a-
biohacking.
Like biohacking and have like a exoskeleton of technology.
Okay. Okay. Back to where we were.
Okay.
This is going nowhere.
I know.
So power versus strength. You said power is a one-time shot. Like you give it your all
Right.
and lift heavy one time.
Yep.
Strength is
Strength is just a little bit more than that. So it's being able to lift something 6 times, or it's being able to carry 1.5 zillion grocery bags into the house all at one time.
making it
You know
practical.
what I mean? Because you gotta walk kind of far,
yeah,
but you still gotta hang on, and
it adds
all that kind of stuff.
a certain amount of endurance to the power.
Yeah, and so further on down that line is muscular hypertrophy. Actually,
Oh, were you waiting to pull that one out?
Yeah.
That sounds really impressive.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? What is it?
so that just means getting bigger muscles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that more for look and not for use?
So those are one and the same.
Use and look?
Yeah,
Oh, you
we're
can
getting
correct
real,
yourself.
we're getting real technical.
Yeah.
Weightlifting is good for just getting stronger, and if you want to pack on size, you can do that too with certain rep ranges,
Okay.
and
You can tailor it.
getting endurance for specific muscle groups.
Okay. And I imagine there's still, even though it's not what we would classically think of as a cardio exercise, there's still cardio benefit because it gets your
Definitely, yes. Hashtag leg day.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Hashtag skip day.
No.
Okay, so there's lifting. What about
Yoga.
circuit training and things
Oh.
like CrossFit and things like that?
Those are great. I think those are great, well-rounded programs.
So what are they good for?
Really, it's
Oh, hold on. Let me try that again without ending with a preposition. What do they benefit?
so CrossFit and circuit training are as open-ended as it can get. They can be made for anything. Does that make sense? Like
Nah.
you can have a CrossFit program or a circuit training program tailored to improving strength, or
I
tailored
see what you're
to
saying. I see what you're
tailored to a cardiovascular work, or tailored to just a high intensity interval training.
saying. Okay.
So you have
So it's that evolving martial art.
right. Well,
Okay.
not necessarily evolving. Like it's not going to evolve. Like okay, we're going to ditch that and implement this. Okay, now we're going to tweak this, and this is how it is from now on until it gets tweaked
I guess
again.
it's just
It's
malleable.
It's
moldable
malleable.
to
It's
your goal.
you can use
Yeah.
you can use it how you want it when you want it for your goals.
Okay.
And one of the best ways to do that is to do just a little bit of everything. And that's why I really like circuit training, and that's why I really like CrossFit as a model, because they do a little bit of everything,
Mhm.
and it's being good at so many different things.
And I feel like a lot of people kind of crap on CrossFit, saying, "Oh, they don't watch form and stuff. And I really think it's just like going to any other personal trainer or any other gym. You want to make sure that who you're working with is knowledgeable, because there are good CrossFit
Right.
leaders and
There are.
bad
Yeah.
leaders. So if you see a video on YouTube and it jokes about CrossFit not caring about your form and injuring people and things like that, it's really not a fair snapshot of the whole.
Right. And CrossFit is an organization. Like, you're not going to, that's just, borderline ism, just like racism, saying
Yeah.
everybody from this organization is no good. Okay. That's making a big assumption
Yeah.
about a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's great trainers and there's bad trainers.
Yep.
Just like there's great independent trainers and there's terrible independent trainers.
Yeah. Which one are you, Mike?
I'm good. I'm real good.
You sound a little nervous answering that one.
Notice how I didn't hesitate?
Yeah.
That's how you know. Yeah, I'm good.
How long did you practice that in the mirror?
Oh, man. Every day. I got to psych myself up. You're a good trainer, Mike. You got this.
Yeah. What about yoga? Give me some yoga.
So this is downward dog. Did that come through?
So what could my goal be if I want to do something like yoga or Pilates or something?
What could your goal be?
Yeah, like what?
I would say let's start with a goal first. So if somebody comes to me and they go, yeah, I want to do something physical, and I don't know what, and I say, okay, what's your goal? Why do you want to do something physical? And they say, well, I just have a hard time with mobility. I have a hard time, I don't know, touching my toes. I can't touch my toes, and I want to touch my toes. I'd say, well,
First
You
of all, what's so special about your toes?
what's so special about your toes? You're fine. Get out of here. Better yet, come bench with me.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to improve flexibility, then definitely yoga. And I think there's a crossover there between yoga, and there's a crossover with any of these. Like yoga, I've gone to a few yoga classes, flow yoga with April, where my legs are burning, my shoulders are burning, my core is sore the next day.
There's still a good muscle workout.
There's still a good muscle workout, and I have a clarity of mind afterwards,
Yeah.
and I feel way more bendy.
Yeah, and it's more about body weight as opposed to outside weight.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
I do. Versus using tools.
Yes.
Weights, machines. But I think that any of these systems kind of overlap.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And also, one thing I want to talk about is the question of being the best and how businesses like to say, this is why we are the best.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, as a personal trainer, that's just a huge red flag.
Why?
Because saying you're the best in general, if you're the best in general of everything, then that's a false claim.
Yeah, if you get somebody claiming to be the best, chances are
They're not. And that's something that I'm sure you've seen as a martial artist too, especially a teacher like yourself. I'm sure you've seen teachers that have a lot of students that, and this teacher might be a lower rank than you, but he just pretends like he knows everything, and people follow. And I see the same thing. I see trainers that just they're confident, or they fake confidence or whatever, and they teach just bad form or bad habits or what have you, and people suffer from it. But because they're exuding confidence, people follow.
Yeah. I feel like to use a business term, retention is kind of the biggest indicator if somebody's good or not. If you enter a class and there are people that have been there for years, chances
Right.
are you found a good one.
Right.
So that's a good indicator, I think. Something you should look for.
I agree. So we could also kind of tie that back to what's the best
I was just going to say
fitness
this.
activity
Yeah.
or martial arts, or the best whatever.
Yeah.
If somebody comes in there and they've been there forever, and there's a steady stream of inflow, then I think that speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if those people have differing backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Differing backgrounds? Oh.
So like myself, I have a few people that came from different disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
They like what I do, and they like how I teach.
Yeah.
And they've been around for a while now.
Yeah.
Here, I believe you have the same setup with your students. Like you have a few students
Yeah.
from differing not branches, but differing styles.
Yeah. We've got a few people that have trained in some different arts. And I encourage that. I think a lot of schools, a lot of instructors really want people to forget their previous experience because they want like a blank slate.
Yeah.
They don't want that influence or bad habits or what they perceive as bad habits entering in. But I try to make sure the people that have trained previously, when they start training with us, that they know that I don't want them to lose that. I do want them to learn how we do things here and practice that. But in the long run, it's that whole evolution thing. I want them to kind of put their own fingerprint. They're their own martial artist. They're a unique martial artist, and I want them to kind of make the art their own. They couldn't call it Kachikemo Tumpai or whatever, but
right.
But the name isn't really as important as the martial artist, I think.
I think that's a fantastic.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that's a very good way to put it.
So I try to get people I encourage them to mix what their previous knowledge with the stuff that they're getting here. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the next Bruce Lee.
Maybe.
You never know. Well, Mike, I think we're good.
I think we're done too. You've been listening to Modern Era Fitness Podcast. You can reach us on Twitter at MEF Podcast or on Instagram at MEF Podcast.
If you want to email us, feel free to do so. We'd love to get your questions and feedback. You can email us at moderneraFitnessPodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, and also give us a like, share, and review if you're enjoying it and think somebody else might get something out of this. Live in a good place, keep your mind deep, and work when it's time.
Thanks for listening. I'm just trying to spread positivity.